Good morning. I am Pastor Philip Dacre here from Bradford Miracle Centre here in England in the United Kingdom. Today the Lord wants me to speak a little bit about the end of time again. The reason is because the same-sex marriage thing has struck the world, coming through UK, Europe and America, the very foundation of democracy. It's piggybacking on democracy under the heading of human rights as a deception that is capturing the whole world. Homosexual marriages are the legalization and promulgation of legalization and promotion of perversion of the ultimate degree. Once you accept such a perversion, then any kind of injustice can be done through you. This unbalanced judgment, based not upon scientific fact, is presumed that homosexuality is a genetical problem, and the denial that it is a sin at all is completely unfounded scientifically. There is absolutely no scientific evidence, and I am a scientist myself, to show that homosexuality is inbred in our genes, in our very DNA. There's not such a thing at all. It's like telling someone that there's no responsibility for murder or bad temper or something else. Men can be born effeminate, even they can have a lack of testosterone or something, but it doesn't make them homosexual. You don't have to be homosexual. Homosexuality is a perversion and a sin, just the way lust is a sin, but it's of a much more immoral kind of lust. It's a perverted kind of lust. Strange flesh, the Bible calls it in Romans chapter 1. And in the Old Testament, people must be stoned to death or burnt to death because of this. Even today, the Muslim religion preaches this, and so does the Jewish, but they don't implement it. So, of course, as Christians, we do not advocate any kind of execution for sin. But this homosexuality is the most depraved kind of sin, and the one that was singled out in the Bible by the Lord for judgment, instant judgment of Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodomy, of course, comes from the word Sodom. It was a city that advocated or allowed homosexuals to run rampant. Okay, in today's world, we are legalizing this homosexuality and making it normal. We even call it alternative lifestyles, and we're teaching our children by sex education in schools to not just tolerate it, but to experiment and see if we are not homosexuals ourselves. And they're advocating the initiation of this in children. And here in Britain, as in most parts of the European community, it is mandatory. Secondary school sex education is mandatory, and primary school sex education for 5 to 11-year-olds is advocated as being the guideline is to teach it in primary schools. And inside that sex education, there is the advocacy of homosexual involvement, of course, because you're not allowed to discriminate. This is seemingly a racial or discriminatory badness of a minority group. This is not so. Sin is sin, and the Bible calls it sin. Now, the Bible would have no right to call it sin if it wasn't, if you were born with it, like a disease. There's no, sin is a choice. You choose whether you want to be full of lust. Of course, you have driving passion, sexual passion, but you don't have to become a rapist just because you have a driving sexual passion. Everybody has that. Every normal person has a sex drive. But you don't have to become a rapist just because you've got a sex drive. And you certainly don't have to become a perverted because you've got a sex drive. Even if you're more effeminate man than other people, you still don't have to become homosexual. That is a choice. Now, in the Bible, Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed along with all the children and women and even some good people within it. Of course, by the law of averages, there has to be good or innocent people within the walls of Sodom and Gomorrah and all the other cities that got burnt alive in one day when Lot was escorted out of them. This is not just an Old Testament story, but it's brought forward to the New Testament by Peter and James and various others to show that it was an example of what was to come. Now, the day of the Lord is coming as a thief in the night. It's coming when people don't expect it. Of course, we as Christians must be expectant because the time of the end is right here, right now. And unfortunately for us, the very sin of the Antichrist is coming through the Western countries, where it was unsuspected. Everybody suspected it to come through other countries. But of course, as Christians, we must not be stupid and ignorant of these things. Jesus said, you look at the weather, and yet you can't discern the times. He was very, very cutting about people who couldn't discern the spiritual time. This, we're told to watch and pray. We're told to find out what the times are. Okay. Now, we see that America and Great Britain are pushing this homosexual thing very, very strongly. And because there is a spirit behind it, it's not just a law or politics. This is a spiritual kingdom that's moving on planet Earth. And God's allowing it. And the reason God's allowing it is because He's about to judge this world. Jesus is coming back first for His church, and then later to judge the whole world. Not just within days. I'm telling you, it's just within the days now. You can count the days, though no man knows the exact time of it, of course. But we are told by Jesus what to expect, and it says, when you see the beginning of these things, look up, because your redemption comes. Meaning, Jesus is coming back to gather His church. He's going to do that before the Great Tribulation. The Great Tribulation is coming, of which we, as believers, if you're walking in faith and moving in the dynamics of the Holy Spirit, are going to be rescued from, like Lot got rescued out of Sodom and Gomorrah, and Noah from the great flood. We're going to be rescued, but we have to know what we're doing. We have to be walking in faith and trusting God and ready to jump when He says jump. You know, when the angels got Lot couldn't even save his own family. His own sons and daughters that were married would refuse to come with him, just laughed at him. You see, that kind of disrespect is right here, right now, in this world, right at this very moment. People don't respect their parents. They don't respect anything. Okay, there's no kind of authority. The falling away has already happened. All traditional values have been destroyed under humanism that is created by democracy, piggybacking on the political ideology of democracy. This liberalism or sinfulness or antichrist spirit is using this very freedom to destroy whatever he can, what remains of the world, just before he gets judged. So today I bring you this news. It's bad news for the earth, because God is going to judge it by fire with His holy saints and angels. But it's good news for the church, because Jesus says, right, the time you've been waiting for, saints, both dead ones and alive, is here now. Look up. Your redemption is here. Jesus coming back to take over planet Earth and to make it what God intended it to be from the beginning. To do that, He is going to throw all sinners, all sinfulness, and all evil spirits into the abyss. Don't be one of those. And don't be a stupid Christian either, because there's going to be Christians left behind during the tribulation. The ones that wouldn't come out. When Jesus said jump, they didn't believe. When the prophets of God spoke and said jump, they wouldn't believe. When Noah said get in the ark, they wouldn't believe. These Christians are going to be left behind to go through the most horrid time that's ever been seen on planet Earth. Don't be one of these. Watch and pray. Ask God yourself. He wants you to be free of this terrible disaster that's coming. Homosexuality is the signal for the end of time, and it's right upon us right now. God bless you all.